Hey, hi, hello, and welcome to the true first episode of The General Managers. I'm your host, Daps, with the lovely, which way is he? Dylan.
Hey, how are you?
Dylan the Beard, is that what we're going to call you? Or
I'm straight, but you can call me the Beard.
yeah, we'll call him the Beard. I like that. We're going to talk about who won this week. Dylan and I set off this show with a fantasy draft. I obviously have the superior team. He might have a couple more points this week. Guess who's on his team? Josh Allen. Nice work. I think I drafted Jaden Daniels over Josh Allen.
Yeah, no, I had to run a stream for our draft, so there were a couple auto draft picks in there. I also drafted, I think, 5 running backs in a row, unbeknownst to me. It was pretty chaotic, and I do have a bad team, but I did win this week.
He's got a bad team. He won this week. That's the narrative we're going to stick with every week, I think. Let's get into the top performing
Ooh. Can I say, team doesn't look good this week, but still won. It's an important thing to remember in week 1 of fantasy football. We've learned absolutely nothing, okay? You may think you have, but we really don't know anything, so do not panic. Do not make bad trades. Do not make rash waiver wire pickups. Just calm down.
Calm down is the theme of this week. I agree. I think also, though, over the next couple weeks, there is no superior waiver wire pickup at the moment. Sure, in a couple weeks, you're going to go, Daps, you should have picked up Quentin Johnston on the Saints. Whatever. I don't care. Irrelevant. What will happen, though, week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5, is there will be significant injuries. When those injuries happen, you better have those notifications on your phone because that's the guy you got to pick up. You got to pick up the backup, the guy who is wide receiver 2, running back 2 on the depth chart, or even RB3, right, behind another guy. Injuries matter when it comes to the waiver wire. Remember that. Now,
one more thing. Can I say, if you're going to take this job seriously, this hobby seriously, it is a full-time job, okay? Let's be checking the phone often this week. Quentin Johnston.
Quentin Johnston, yes, Johnston. We'll add a J-U-N to his name.
Quentin Johnston. He's a criminal, right? But he's good. Well, I think so, right? I mean, he's in a lot of hot water. Signed with the Browns. Now, Matt and the rest of the...
Oh, Quinshon Judkins. Is that
Quinshon Judkins.
Okay,
yes,
got it.
Got it. Quinshon
okay.
Judkins.
Not Quentin Johnston, guys. Sorry, here we go.
It's week 1. Just calm down. Quinshon Judkins, criminal, signed with the Browns over the weekend. Now, the bums in this league, including Matt, did not get to the waiver wire in time. I saw it on Twitter, so you got to rush, pick these people up. Just be on top of it, okay?
Yeah, so everybody who's watching inferior fantasy managers, obviously, such as Dylan, don't realize the Browns already have their number 1 running back. He established himself as the bell cow. Oddly enough, bell cow is the name of Dylan's team. That would be Dylan Sampson.
It's the name of me.
Very, very nice.
Yeah.
So let's move right along unless we have any more interruptions. Top performing wide receivers from week 1. And I think this one kind of surprised the majority of us to be the number 1 guy. Zay Flowers coming in with 21.1 fantasy points this week. Guys, we need to put a little asterisk in for an apology right now. This is on standard league formats, all the points we're going to show this episode. Nobody uses standard. If you use standard, you're an absolute psychopath, all right? We all do half PPR. Some aggressive managers playing PPR leagues, I got a couple of them, mainly half PPR is the real standard across the country and the world. All right, Zay Flowers dropping 21.1 points. Dylan, do you feel like Zay Flowers is a guy with a 12-point floor who can put up these 20-point weeks on a weekly basis?
Absolutely not. His floor is 2 points. I could be wrong this season. He's still a young man. He's only had, I think this is his 3rd NFL season, but he's ranked wide receiver 31 and 30 respectively in those seasons. Now, could this season be the difference? Maybe, but fantasy football is a sensitive game. Your heart gets broken by certain people, and Zay Flowers has hurt a lot of people. So this wide receiver list, this top 5 wide receiver list is bananas. And this is why after week 1, we have really not learned anything. Zay Flowers, Quentin Johnston, Keon, Coleman, and Deebo are all people that have significantly emotionally, financially wounded people in the past. So get out of here.
Well, oddly enough, I don't think you're going to see any top 5, maybe even top 10 wide receiver based on ADP on this list.
No, not
There's
one.
no Jamar Chase. There's no CeeDee Lamb. Where are these guys? Amon-Ra St. Brown, Malik Neighbors, who I had to draft with the 10th overall pick in one of my league. I mean, come on. Where is, I mean, Justin Jefferson actually scored last night, but he's not on this list either. No big wide receiver moments. Garrett Wilson had a pretty good game. We're going to move to Quentin Johnston, though. 19.9 points. He gets almost 30% of the target share from Herbert, coming in around 7 targets to Ladd McConkey's 7. The only person on the team who had more targets was Keenan Allen at 8. So Keenan Allen might be a guy you need to watch out for. Dylan, do you think that Quentin Johnston has the ability to get 7 targets a game in the future?
Absolutely not. Remember, this guy's hands are cinder blocks, and I do recognize the irony of me, a bearded, almost balding 30-something man ridiculing professional athletes who have accomplished great things in their life. But with that being said, this guy is, I don't want him anywhere near my fantasy football team. I am really not looking forward to hate watching the Chargers this season as somebody who drafted a lot of Amarian Hampton all over my leagues. All of a sudden, Jim Harbaugh is passing, evidently, in week 1. Super frustrating, super annoying, super stupid. But Keenan Allen is the number 2 in this team. If you're going to go after any wide receiver that's behind Ladd, it is going to be Keenan Allen.
Listen, I'd have to agree, Dill. A whole bunch of question marks when it comes to Harbaugh. Traditionally, Harbaugh's a guy who loves to run the ball. He lets Herbert air it out all over the place week 1 against the Chiefs. You love to see it. You love to see the arm strength of Herbert. He looks like he's a man amongst boys. But I would agree with you wholeheartedly, Dylan, if Johnston came in with 3 or 4 targets, 2 of those being touchdowns, 100 yards. Herbert's not really looking at him. He had a big home run potential. He had the same amount of targets as McConkey. McConkey's supposed to be that Julian Edelman, Wes Welker type guy who is in the slot, and he's just high usage, high volume. For him to get the same amount of targets definitely means that Herbert has trust in him. If you have the spot on your roster to throw him on your bench, I'm definitely looking at Quentin Johnston. We're going to move to an absolute stud who I don't think anybody's really surprised is on this list. Rookie standout, Emeka Egbuka, coming in at, what did he have, 19.6 points?
And more in half point.
And I mean, he made Mike Evans look dormant this week. We'll see. Again, I don't think Emeka is going to be able to do this every single week because Mike Evans is on his team and he's still a monster. But I'm thinking Emeka is like a 10-point floor guy, right, with an upside of 20 to 30 points.
Yeah, I'm going to pump the brakes on Emeka just because, Godwin is going to be back in, 3 to 6 weeks. Evans is always there for touchdowns. Bucky is going to be stepping more into the role. There's always Rashad doing these, just unbelievably Todd Bowles frustrating things on that team. So it's going to get spread around a little bit. With that being said, Egbuka is probably the biggest rookie standout from week 1.
And then you move to Keon, Coleman, and Deebo Samuel. I mean, listen, Keon Coleman, I don't think we need to talk too much about him. He went drafted in a lot of leagues. Don't expect Keon Coleman to put up 17 points.
Went undrafted in a lot of leagues too, though.
Well, Dill wants to throw in that he went undrafted. So I don't think Keon Coleman is available in any league that I'm in. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm just a professional. All right, maybe I'm just a professional general manager out here. But what I would expect from the Buffalo Bills is Josh Allen never favors any wide receiver on his team ever. I think that's why Stephon Diggs, left town. Right, he spreads the ball around. There's so many mouths to feed. You have Shakir, you have Coleman. They got Josh Palmer, who looked really good. You have 2 decent tight ends who can catch the ball, Knox and Kincaid. And by the way, I think a 3rd tight end had a touchdown in the game. I don't even know his name. All right. Plus you have James Cook, and you have Ty Chandler, backup running back, and you have Ray Davis. There's just a lot. And by the way, Josh Allen is going to run for his tutties as well. So a lot of mouths to feed in Buffalo. I'm not looking at Keon Coleman to be on this list over the next couple weeks in the top 5. Moving right along from Keon, We have Deebo Samuel, who, by the way, probably a 6, 7, 8, 9th round pick in most leagues, depending if you're in a 10 or 12 team format, drops 15.6 in most flex positions. Maybe he's your wide receiver 3. I don't think anybody's really surprised. Deebo Samuel comes to town. He's with Jaden Daniels, who's an absolute stud. Terry McLaurin did the holdout, so he's a little rusty. He'll get back into form, but Deebo is definitely a guy who obviously Jaden is looking at, targeted a ton of times. I think Deebo is going to surprise a lot of people this year if he stays healthy. Let's move right along to, and if anybody is interested, you know what, let's stick to running backs. We're going to go to the top 5 running back performances. And the first one, I mean, I don't know how much more we have to talk about this guy, Derrick Henry, 28.2. It's funny because Derrick Henry every single year is never considered the running back 1. And often he is a top 3 running back. He went 6th in my main league. He went 10th, 11th, 12th in a lot of leagues that I was in. And I mean, listen, the hype that Saquon is amazing, and because of the behind the back jump and the Super Bowl championship, obviously his name is in the headlines more often. Bijan and Gibbs, young, fun, cool. But Derrick Henry, where's the respect? You saw what he did against the Bills. He just cut him up. I mean, it's like he gets the ball. Nobody can tackle him. There's these huge lanes. The Ravens' offensive line is insane. Do not trade Derrick Henry.
No, don't trade him. He's made of metal. Even if he is 47 years old, he's still running up hills that are 60 degrees in slope. If he gets up any head of steam, he is close to impossible to tackle. We talked about him when we were watching the game. Can you imagine attempting to tackle this guy if you're a safety? It would just be one of the scariest things, but he remains at the top of the list. The rest of these running backs, obviously Bijan's going to Bijan. Javonte Williams, I think you and I disagree on this. Do not start Javonte Williams.
That's an absolutely wild take. You 100% should start.
Do not start Javonte Williams,
especially in a flex position. I think it's a great flex option right now. Miles Sanders stinks. He always has. Jaden Blue didn't play. The Cowboys, a couple of years ago, were one of the best offensive teams in the league. I know they lost to the Eagles, but let's be real. They could have won that game, okay? CeeDee Lamb drops 3 easy balls and then a 4th diving catch that you just expect CeeDee Lamb to make that catch. CeeDee Lamb could have had the most points in fantasy from the wide receiver position had he made relatively easy catches. That is not Dak's fault at all. Dak should have had more fantasy points. Cowboys should have been in a better position in the game to have more momentum. Javonte Williams could have got another touchdown. The Cowboys, the whole point of this rant is that the Cowboys are going to score points this year. They got to go to somebody. I think there is still a team that likes to run the ball. Javonte has established himself in the first game as the clear-cut back.
No.
I think that 10 points as a floor every week for him is easy.
Incredibly inefficient runner. He got 2 touchdowns. That's what bolstered his stat line. Do not start this man. Matt is wrong.
Moving along to a player that everybody is wrong about pre-draft. Every fantasy expert. I'm sick of these mother effing fantasy experts. I hope that you start listening to us. I'm never going to call myself a fantasy expert. I'm just going to let the tail of the tape tell the story. James Cook, 18 touchdowns last year. Guess who scored a touchdown week 1, kept the flow going. James Cook can catch the ball. He can run the ball. He's on the best offense in the league. He's got the best player next to him, Josh Allen. Why would you hate on James Cook? It doesn't make any sense to me. This guy is going to continue to catch screen passes. He can go deep. He can run between the center. I mean, he's got to play the Dolphins twice, the Patriots, and the Jets. Like, their schedule is a joke. Go look at the Bills' schedule. If you could trade for a guy like James Cook right now, it's going to be tough because he just dropped 18 points. I'd love to hear Dylan's pathetic take on this one.
No, I completely agree with you. I think that he's constantly shit on for no reason. He was an inch away from having 2 touchdowns to start the season. Put some respect on this guy's name. Like you said, he's on the best team in the NFL, maybe in the AFC. Well, for sure in the AFC, but I just love James Cook. You can't go trade for him now because their owner has rose-colored glasses. They're going to bend you over a barrel, so don't do it now, but maybe wait for a 0-touchdown game.
Now we're going to go into a guy that I absolutely hate. I hate his living guts, and I'll tell you why. Travis Etienne, a couple years back, he was either a rookie or it was his second year. My main draft was like 2 weeks before the season. Drafted Etienne with the 5th pick. He got injured before the season started. So I basically just forfeited my 5th-round pick. And then I complained to my commissioner, and I was like, why are we drafting 2 weeks before the season?
It's a really good question. If you ever have a commissioner that sets a draft for fortnight before the NFL season kicks off, refuse to participate in the league, get your fee back, and leave, or demand that they move the draft up.
It's absolutely deplorable if you're a commissioner and you're running a draft 2 weeks before the season. The amount of injuries that can happen in the last 2 weeks before the season, it's not fair for somebody to use any pick on a player who's not going to play in that season. Listen, week 1, week 2, injuries happen, whatever, you drafted that guy, but unacceptable. Unacceptable as a commissioner to run a draft that early.
Shame on you, shame on all of you.
Shame on you and shame on all of you, yes. And then moving right along to Etienne last year, I drafted him. And this team I drafted last year, I drafted Jalen Hurts with the 1st pick because it's a 2-quarterback league. 2nd pick came around, I took Marvin Harrison Jr., who stunk last year.
Yep.
3rd pick, I took Etienne. Etienne had a walk-in touchdown last year in like game week 2, 3, whatever it was. He fumbled the ball into the end zone, and it seemed like Tank Bigsby took over from them. He was so bad for me last year. I just have a bias against this guy. A buddy of mine drafted him over Javonte Williams, which I criticized him during the draft for, and he puts up 15 points this week. I'm still not an Etienne believer, but now Tank Bigsby gets traded, and it's like, oh man, am I going to have to eat my words? Little Bashal tootin' out there. Toot, toot. I think he got 1 carry.
He got 1 carry. I think the trade of Tank Bigsby speaks very, very highly of Travis Etienne. Jags running backs can get it. They can get it. I mean, let the great and powerful Leonard Fournette. I think Travis Etienne is going to have a bit of a bounce back year this year, but it is gross. It's gross.
It's gross. It's absolutely gross. Listen, Etienne played with T-Law in college at Clemson, so like they've always had this chemistry. They already got their sync. I just don't understand how last year you could be so bad and then first week you put up 15 points. I'm sorry, but I'm really rooting against Travis Etienne, and I hope he doesn't enter the top 5 any of the upcoming weeks. Rest assured. Now we're going to move right along to QBs. Listen, the quarterbacks and their ADPs lined up, all right, except for one of these guys, really lined up to their average draft positions. Josh Allen, the man, the myth, the legend himself. What a performance, 38.3 points, doing it all, running the ball, throwing the ball. I mean, this guy was the MVP last year. He looked like it. Going into the number 2 quarterback, though, Justin Fields. A couple of years ago, Justin Fields had a 45-point game, and ever since then, I thought to myself, like, this guy's he might not be a great quarterback, but he's gonna be a beast in fantasy. He was on what team? The Chicago Bears, who freaking stink as an organization. They are so freaking bad. They almost ruined his career. I think that they made a joke online earlier today about prison and comparing him to Michael Vick, and Michael Vick had to serve his time and then come back to lead his team to victory. And Justin Fields' prison was the Chicago Bears.
Yeah.
Right? That's what it was.
And he's still in prison on the New York Jets. But I distinctly remember those games where he went over 40, over 30 numerous times. I had him on my team. I know the power of Justin Fields. He is an incredible football player. And it looked like his passing greatly improved. He was throwing into windows that were a millimeter wide. The play designs for his rushing made a lot of sense. I want Justin Fields on my team.
I don't want him to succeed too, because he's just a fun guy to watch. And to be honest, as a Jets fan, we have not seen a game like that. High scoring, momentum. And if you watch the game, Dill, the Jets lost because their kick returner, Xavier Gibson, fumbled on their own 20 when they were up 2 or 3 points getting the ball back.
Yeah.
And the Steelers could not stop Justin Fields. Breece Hall looked like the fastest man alive. Garrett Wilson played awesome. The Jets offense looked great. They should have won the game. Same old Jets, whatever. Justin Fields, if you can scoop him up, I'm doing it ASAP because he went undrafted in a lot of leagues.
Can we talk about fantasy experts' expert advice really quickly? I feel like one of the most common pieces of advice that you get from true sharps in fantasy football is to fade quarterbacks, to not be afraid of streaming quarterbacks. It is an added stress, an unnecessary wrinkle in an already difficult game. I understand it's tough to pass on the Chase Browns and, the A.J. Browns in the second and third round. But if you have Josh Allen, if you have Lamar Jackson, you're going to massively increase your odds to get into the playoffs and into the championship rounds.
I absolutely agree. I went as far as to stretch and take Josh Allen 14th overall because typically Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, these guys, they go at the turn, right? That early third round is kind of like the sweet spot. If you're lucky, that's where you get him. Some people will take him late second round. I was forced into a 10th pick overall position, took Malik Neighbors with the 10th spot, hated the pick. He scores 8 points this week. My alternative was Ashton Genty, who also scored.
I was going to say, do you want Josh Allen or do you want Ashton Genty?
Right. And then this is why, like, when people, these fantasy experts and everybody, I would much rather have Josh Allen than any one of the, I could have argued right now to take him first in the 10th spot, right? So anyway, I take Malik Neighbors. It comes back around. Chase Brown was available. Devon Etienne are available. And I'm just going, I don't like any of these guys more than Josh Allen. I took him. Everyone, oh, you're crazy. You took him way too early. But the fact of the matter is, if I don't take him there, I can't take him at all because I'm not going to have a pick for close to 20
Right,
picks.
and that's why I've been so furious with you of late. When I took CMC second in my big league, you said I took him 11th. That's stupid that you took him second, but I can't take CMC 11th if I'm in the second pick because he's going to be gone. So if you want to go after your guy, this is why I don't really dig the ADP game. There are these people that say you got to flow with the draft. You got to take the people at their ADP. That's fine, but if you want your guys, you got to go get your guys.
No, the thing about it is what I think the clarification there is you 100%, you have to draft your guys. Whether you're in the back end of a round, if you believe in a guy and he's not supposed to go for 10 picks, sorry, you got to take him in that position. That's what I did with Allen, right? But when we talk about the flow of the draft, you should absolutely flow, like after you pick your guy.
Positionally, right? You flow with the draft.
So, for example, in my league, I take Neighbors, then I take Josh Allen, right? Now I'm in a position when it comes back, Dill, where I don't have a running back. Now I have to flow with the draft.
Be water.
Right?
Now you be water.
Now I have to be water. Guess who I get round 3? James Cook. Easiest pick of my life. I mean, come on now, right? So again, guys, listen, if you're watching the show, you're drafting your own players. All right. I'm not telling you who to draft, but being criticized for drafting Josh Allen and then him dropping 40 points, it's a big FU to my fantasy league.
And also fantasy experts saying things like fade Breece Hall. Breece Hall looked like the best running back in the NFL.
If Breece Hall does not get hurt, fantasy experts, they're all idiots. And also, where are all these fantasy experts with Danny Dimes, who dropped 29.5 points
Well,
this
they're
week?
right about Danny Dimes.
Danny freaking Dimes. By the way, guys, do not expect to see Danny Dimes in the top 5 for the rest of the season. And I'll tell you why. There's no Danny Dimes hate here. The Indianapolis Colts chose to do a QB rush from the 1 twice with Danny Dimes. And by the way, they handed it off to Jonathan Taylor from the 3. He got 2 yards, and then they opted into the Danny Dimes.
So stupid.
I don't see this happening as a repetitive motion. Danny Dimes minus those 2 rushing 1-yard touchdowns is going to put up 17.5. So that's a more realistic number I think you're looking at from the Danny Dimes position. If you're in a 2 QB league or you need to roster a quarterback as a backup, I like Danny Dimes. Pick him up, but don't expect these types of weeks from Daniel Jones. Lamar Jackson, I don't know if we have to talk about much. He completely dominated that game. The typical Lamar Jackson stats that you thought, 2 acts of God, Derrick Henry fumbling, and then somehow, some way, the Bills catch a 4th down tipped touchdown.
Lamar Jackson is perfect for fantasy because his playoffs are not our playoffs. Okay? If you needed him during his playoffs, I'd rather have Danny Dimes.
And then, again, no surprise here, Jalen Hurts, 24.3, doing exactly what Jalen Hurts is supposed to do. So, again, when we talk about ADP, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, and Josh Allen, the top three drafted, maybe outside of Jaden Daniels in most leagues, are in the top five. No surprise. Very different than than the top five wide receiver list, right? We're going to move right along to tight ends. Top scoring tight end this week, Dalton Kincaid. I wouldn't say this is entirely surprising. He plays with the best quarterback in the league. If you had Josh Allen, what a great cuff to have. What a great stack to have with Kincaid, who you could have drafted like 12th, 13th, 14th round. And then, listen, everybody was talking smack. Travis Kelce shows signs of his youth, 10.7, coming in at number 2. This was the 4th tight end overall that you could have drafted. And guess what? Rashee Rice out for the next 5 games. Guess what? Xavier Worthy gone. Hollywood Brown had 16 targets last week. So Mahomes can only throw to 2 guys, really. It's Hollywood Brown and it's Travis Kelce. So I would even argue if you can buy Kelce low right now, right? You can make a trade for Kelce. I don't hate it. There's a ton of tight ends who scored a lot of points on the waiver wire. Check those guys out.
I hate that. Kelce's name is too big. People that have him are probably bad at fantasy football or too good to give up Kelce's position right now with no wide receivers on that team. I don't think there's any situation where you can trade fairly or benefit yourself in a Kelce trade. I would stay away from him. He is focused on his fiance, Taylor Swift.
Yeah, he couldn't remember her name, the highest selling pop
Who
artist
cares?
of our time.
Who cares?
Moving right along to Brock Bowers. No surprise here. 1 overall. What is the surprise is he got injured. So, Dill, do we have any type of update on that injury?
We have the worst kind of update you could possibly have for a fantasy player. He is day to day.
Day to day, guys. Listen, this is my personal opinion and where the fantasy experts can suck it. Brock Bowers, end of the 2nd round, is so risky, dude. I get it. It's attractive. It's
crazy.
The best tight end in the league, and it solidifies your position in the tight end spot. Guess what? If he gets injured, you are so screwed. You are so royally screwed. Nobody is stacking backup tight ends behind Brock Bowers as a strategy. I'd love to hear what you're going to tell me in the comments if you are. As opposed to, okay, I draft Christian McCaffrey, and guess what? I draft Brian Robinson Jr. in the 9th round, and I've secured his handcuff, who is easily going to do at minimum 70% of the points that Christian is going to get if he goes down. You can't do that with Brock Bowers. It's not happening. Moving right along to Noah Fant. Listen, Joe Burrow was looking at Noah Fant, and remember, Mike Gesicki came to town a year or 2 ago to the Bengals. It seemed like Burrow was in sync with him, but I think Noah Fant looked like the clear-cut target of Joe Burrow.
There are no tight ends on the Cincinnati Bengals that you want to start week to week. If you have to do it, it's fine. The floor's, I think, relatively high, but the ceiling is very, very low, I think.
Well, I mean, listen, Jamar Chase scoring sub 3 points. I don't think anybody had that in their fantasy expert analysis. Right, and it always seems with the fantasy experts too, the number 1 overall guy every year is never the number 1 guy.
I think
that's why the experts need to go out the door.
Yeah, the experts don't take into account voodoo, witchcraft, and curses, okay? The most powerful curse in, I think, all of professional sports.
Taylor Swift? Sorry, go on.
The number 1, sorry. The number
That's
1.
what Taylor Swift does.
Sorry.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's black magic.
Yeah, my God. The most prominent and powerful curse in professional sports is the number 1 overall pick. I never do it, okay? Don't ever take a consensus number 1 pick if you are lucky enough to be given the first pick. You just got to find your guy anywhere from 2 to 12 and take him, okay? It's more powerful than the Madden curse. I genuinely believe it's more powerful than the Madden curse.
So moving right along from curses, Fant to Zach Ertz, the 5th top scoring this week. He's got Jaden Daniels. I really like him. I don't know if he's available in your leagues. If you have Jaden Daniels and he's available, you better go scoop him up real quick as a stack. I love that stack. Let's get into let's get into the week that was. Cowboys versus Eagles. Dak puts up a dud, 7.8, 188 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Listen, I'd love the opportunity to shit all over Cowboys fans' lives because it's just so easy. But I watched the game. Dak played way better than this stat line.
So
I mean, he was hitting receivers on the chest. His guys are incompetent, and unfortunately, we're talking about CeeDee Lamb, who, by the way, really wasn't on any one of my draft boards because I stacked Dak and CD last year, and I just have a bad taste in my mouth still. So I was not looking at Dak at all. Unfortunate, but I think you're going to see a lot of Dak Prescott this year putting up 300-plus yard performances. There's a lot of leagues that reward bonuses at 350. Remember, just 2 years ago, Dak was the highest scoring QB.
Yeah, I think Dak will be comfortably at the bottom of the QB1 list throughout the season. I think what he did to Jake Ferguson was criminal. But outside of that, I think that he played absolutely just a magnificent game of football. Don't be scared if you have Dak Prescott as your quarterback.
And what you call criminal, John Madden would say, if it hits you in the hands, you got to catch it.
Well, John Madden's dead.
We don't need to talk about the deceased like that. Jesus.
You have to eat cleaner.
I'm
You
sorry,
you
John.
can't eat fried turkey with multiple corn dogs inside the
I'm
cavity
pretty
or whatever
sure he did
ate.
for 90 years while just talking ball, right?
He's a great man.
Is what we all dream.
He's a great man. He's a great man, but he is dead.
Moving right along. CeeDee Lamb, absolute dumpster fire, still scored 15 points. Should have scored 30. But let's talk about the actual dumpster fire, A.J. Brown. And this is another guy I hated at his ADP. Hated A.J. Brown as an ADP. I'm thinking about A.J. Brown as like maybe a late third, early fourth round pick if he gets to you on the turn. Like he's your wide receiver too. Like,
Can I tell you something? I don't like him there. I don't like him there.
Listen, I get it. I am not a big A.J. Brown guy. I've seen him get in the fights with Jalen Hurts on the sideline. They've obviously reconciled and won championships together, or a championship. But A.J. Brown, I mean, if you drafted him at the end of the second round and you got, 1.3 from him, 0 touchdowns, he was not looked at, targeted, until the third quarter. So I just don't understand if Jalen Hurts is just so in rhythm of a football game that he's like, oh yeah, I forgot I have A.J. Brown. I'm just doing everything myself with Saquon, right? Or if he just doesn't like A.J. Brown. I don't know. Javonte Smith didn't get a ton of work either. Jalen Hurts just dominated with his legs. Saquon looked great. They had that big throw to Dotson, who I didn't even know was on the team.
Yeah, I think the problem that I had going into the season with Eagles pass catchers, and they're obviously incredibly talented. A.J. Brown is an absolute animal, as is Devonta Smith. But Saquon is 80% of this offense. Jalen Hurts is the other 20. So they're a run-first 1A, 1B offense with Hurts and Saquon. And that means that I would be very scared if I had AJ as my wide receiver 1.
Terrified.
Very, very
Literally
terrified. Very terrified.
I'm so sorry for you. And by the way, I'm sure A.J. Brown is going to be in a number of top 5 wide receiver points lists for us this year. The problem with A.J. Brown I have is the boomer bust, right? Like, you don't want to take a second-round pick and have a 2-point week. That hurts. Moving right along to the Chargers-Chiefs, a game I think that surprised a lot of us. Not that we don't believe Justin Herbert had potential, especially with Harbaugh, who's an actual coach compared to his last coach, Brandon Staley, who was a freaking absolute joke. I hated that guy. I'm not even a Chargers fan. So frustrating to watch that guy basically ruin Justin Herbert's career up until now. Let's talk about Isaiah Pacheco, complete dud, only gets 5 carries, 2 receptions for 3 yards, 3.8 points. This is a guy who went second round, I believe, last year, right? Maybe he went fifth round pick this year?
Sixth round pick this year.
5-6 this year. Another guy not really on my board in that 5-6 position. Like, if I had to take him and he was the only guy left, maybe, but there's just so many other guys I'm attracted to over Pacheco. And then when they got Kareem Hunt, everybody washes Hunt off like he's washed. Hunt had a couple games last year, 16, 17 points, bro.
I'll never forget Kareem Hunt, rookie season, opening night against the Patriots, goes absolutely bananas. He should not have been thrown off that team. Kareem Hunt, foot pushed a young woman who'd called him the N-word numerous times. Tyreek Hill has literally hit every single person he's ever encountered in the face, I think, including his children. He remained on the Chiefs. I think they did Kareem Hunt dirty. I was very, very high on Isaiah Pacheco. Now, not insanely high. He was always going to be an RB2 or a flex, but this is very, very concerning. Even if you think there are better days ahead for Isaiah Pacheco, the fact that they had a game script where they throw to Hollywood Brown 16 times and give Isaiah Pacheco 5 carries, the fact that that's even a possibility for a 5th or 6th round pick is really, really unsettling. Really, I'm actually quite scared to have him in numerous teams.
Yeah, I mean, if you had Pacheco in your lineup, you're not happy, and if you had this guy, another Chief, Xavier Worthy, in your lineup, you're just devastated because we knew. Listen, I was a pretty high on Xavier Worthy. I didn't end up getting him in any league just because of the positions that I was in, so I didn't get him. But I was very high on him. To watch him get hurt like that on such a stupid play, Xavier Worthy is just he moves so fast. He's like lightning. And he just runs into Travis Kelce. Pretty stupid play. Xavier Worthy is going to be out, 6 weeks. So, again, Hollywood Brown, guys, look at Hollywood Brown. 16 targets by Patty Mahomes. Patty Mahomes trusts him. We'll see what happens there. Omarion Hampton. I'm not writing Omarion Hampton off because Harbaugh loves to run the ball. But what the nut happened?
What the nut happened?
Everybody's so high on Hampton, and I didn't see what everybody was so high about.
No, he did not move very well. The line did not look that great. Justin Herbert, now dating Madison Beer with very cool boobs and a beautiful smile, is just slinging the ball all over the field. If you drafted Omarion Hampton, which I did in a couple of different spots, you're scared right now. But I remain cautiously optimistic. Like every fantasy football year, you really don't have a big enough data set.
Let's not overreact. This is a guy we're not going to overreact on. Absolutely ridiculous. First game ever. Listen, also, he had a bonehead play. I don't know if you saw at the end of the game, but all he had to do was stay in bounds, and he ran out of bounds.
I know, but time. It's like, what are you doing with that play call, putting the ball in his hands and sweeping him out to the right?
And not that's a huge deal, but also, like, that better be a learning lesson for him, because if that's the type of decision-making that goes on in Omarion Hampton's head, then we're in red flag mode.
Yeah.
We're going to move back to Sunday Night Football, Ravens-Bills. I mean, this is just fun to talk about, obviously. Zay Flowers, absolute monster. 7 receptions, 143 in the air. A lot of leagues do 150 bonus, so you missed that by 7 points, 1 touchdown. Zay Flowers could have been a 30-point guy this week. Listen, I think the Ravens and the Bills are very, very similar in the sense that they're going to spread the ball around. There's so many mouths to feed on both teams. Derrick Henry is going to get his. Lamar Jackson is going to get his. Those two guys. But in the air, really tough to, like, Mark Andrews didn't do much this week, but I wouldn't be surprised if Mark Andrews goes off a couple games. Zay Flowers, Bateman. DeAndre Hopkins looked like 2012 DeAndre Hopkins. What an incredible catch he made. We'll see if he gets more targets
just
from Lamar.
From somebody who owned Mark Andrews last year, drop Mark Andrews now. Do not have him on your team, okay? His floor is as low as it can possibly be. His floor is 0, and he will hit that floor at least 6 times this season. If you are a shrewd player, try to package him in a deal with somebody and throw that grenade on their lineup, because this guy should not be on your team if you're trying to win a fantasy football championship.
I thought that Mark Andrews might potentially be cut from the team after the drop that he had in that championship game.
He was once great. He was once very, very, very great. Those days are long gone.
Yeah, so that I hate to completely agree with Dill, and I will also say that.
Why do you hate to completely agree with me?
Well, listen, it's just fun, mainly because it's fun. Number 2 is Isaiah Likely is hurt right now, so they don't have that backup option. But listen, Isaiah Likely is a guy you should kind of keep on your radar, because if Mark Andrews continues to just poop shoot it and just stink, right, and just really smell bad, Isaiah Likely is going to come in. He had a lot of big years last season. I agree with the floor position that Dylan just said with Mark Andrews, but at least Isaiah Likely is a guy who he puts up 20 points some weeks, right?
I think the Harbaughs are some of the most frustrating coaches for fantasy players. They just get too cute by half. Jim Harbaugh does just insane stuff. I mean, Isaiah Likely scored, I think, number 1 waiver wire pickup in week 1 last year. People were blowing $70 of fab on Isaiah Likely. I don't think he did anything the rest of the season.
Well, that's pretty stupid. But he had at least 5 games of double-digit points, which, if you're not spending $70 on fab on him, is pretty impressive for a pickup. So, again, this is more advice down the line as it likely gets closer to news that he's coming back, or if you could stash him. If your tight end position stinks right now, just a guy you might be able to grab in a couple weeks. I think there's a number of players right now who you could grab over him. The Juwan Johnsons, Fannin Jr. on the Browns had a great game. Jonnu Smith, look out for Jonnu Smith getting the rock from Aaron Rodgers. Moving on to the Colts-Dolphins game. I generally don't even want to talk about this game. It was so disgusting to watch and boring. Danny Jones is just not a guy I like to watch. Tyreek Hill had 4 receptions for 40 yards, 0 touchdowns, 6 points. I have him in 2 leagues. Loved him as a 3rd-round pick because truly believed that Mike McDaniels would turn the offense around. And I might be sadly mistaken after watching this game, because the Tua looks bad. He looks lost. He looks concussed. He looks like he just publicly announced that his father made him into a lefty when he was a kid because his dad is a lefty. I don't know if you heard this story. Tua's dad is a lefty. He said, I'm the only lefty in the family. You're going to be a lefty too. Tua's like, but I throw with my right arm, Daddy. And he's like, I don't care. Throw with your left arm. Now he's throwing lefty, and he's probably concussed because of the PTSD that he has from his father making him throw with his left arm.
Well, and the concussions.
And the concussions are also probably why he's concussed.
So many concussions.
Listen, it's the fall of Tua and the Dolphins is pretty wild. If this is the fall.
We were speaking about it earlier on in the week. I don't know if it was last year or the year before. They put up 70 points against the Denver Broncos. 70 points. I've said it many times. McDaniels is on some type of heroin substitute. I think it's kratom. You can get it at head shops. You can get it at smoke shops. He's just so chilled out, and he speaks in he speaks in riddles. He's like Tom Bombadil. You know, the guy just makes zero sense. Tyreek Hill, I think a lot of their draft strategies hinged on him being a high ceiling guy. And I just do not see that strategy working out. I think that Tyreek Hill will follow Antonio Brown down the tunnel without pads on at some point this season.
Yeah, listen, Tyreek, I'm not going to completely write him off like that. He was fired up on the sideline again, which is just not a good sign because it looks like there's dismay. It looks like McDaniels has lost the locker room. They couldn't do anything. And this is just this fall from grace. I really believe that McDaniels is a guy, offensive mastermind of play calling. He's got Etienne. Remember, he had Mostert. Like, those two guys were just awesome together. He's got Tyreek. He's got Jalen. He's got Waddle. So he has all these pieces, and maybe just Tua stinks, and that's what it is.
That's what it is.
Maybe Tua's just really bad, and then McDaniels isn't that bad. But this fall from grace is wild. I hope the Dolphins get something going on offense. I have Etienne in 2 leagues. I still believe in Etienne. The problem, the Etienne, I think, could be the top scoring player in fantasy. The reason he's not is because they are playing down. Last season, I watched all these games. The Dolphins are down so much that he's playing from behind. He ended up with 13 points. The only reason he ended up with 13 points is because he caught a screen pass at the end of the game for, I think, close to 30 yards, scored with garbage time, which, listen, it's great for Dolphins to score garbage time points, but not if you have a running back. You want the Dolphins to be up 2 or 3 touchdowns, and they're handing the ball off to Etienne in the fourth quarter, and he's just running for 10 yards at a clip, 3 or 4 times every drive, and that's not what you're going to get right now. The Colts, I don't believe, are a good team, and what the Dolphins just did was bad. Hopefully they bounce back.
Really quickly, I just want to say Tyler Warren, big target for me going into the draft. Tight ends, they very, very rarely can stack with quarterbacks to keep them or to blow them up the way that receivers can. But I think that Tyler Warren is talented enough to make Daniel Jones a weekly consideration for a starter. I think that's how good
Jones has Warren. He still has Michael Pittman, who he threw a touchdown to.
Josh Downs.
He has Josh Downs. He has Mitchell. Like, Daniel Jones has weapons, and he has one of the best running backs in the league, right, to just hand the ball off to.
Wide receiver 13 of the year.
Which, oddly enough, he's always had with Saquon Barkley. Moving right along to the Niners-Seahawks game, which I thought was a layup for the Niners. I didn't think the Seahawks had a chance. They ended up having a chance because of Jake Booty, the man who can't kick a 30-yard field goal. I don't know how he still has a job after last season. The stats on him are wild. There has to be, when push comes to shove, there has to be a better option than Jake Moody as a kicker, like some guy who wants to quit soccer and has a better leg than this guy.
Go get a garbage man.
Go tell a college player to leave school. Like, he doesn't need to be in school. 49ers, Seahawks. Niners win the game. Darnold had a chance at the end. CMC looked like CMC. I mean, 18 points, mind you, no touchdown. All right?
Yeah.
69 rushing yards on 22 attempts. 9, of course, he had 9 receptions, right? Like,
yeah, the receiving game saved him. 22 for 69 is incredibly inefficient.
The statement that the receiving game saved him shows your inaccuracy in understanding fantasy football. Because that's how Christian became the number 1, is because he gets so many receptions.
I understand that.
So, listen, Christian is going to get his touchdowns.
You're not telling me that he was he did not look like a far worse running back than he has in the past? Because I understand that the receiving part of him is what makes him elite, but he's also an incredibly talented running back, and he did not look that great between the tackles this week. He looked a little slow and inefficient.
He's probably just got to grease the axles a little bit. You know what I mean?
We'll see.
We'll see what happens.
But Kittle is out for 3 to 4 weeks.
And Kittle's out for 3 to 4 weeks. Again, this is what I was talking about with the tight end position. Listen, I like George Kittle. He was not really on any of my boards. He was a guy who he had to really fall to me and just be in a really attractive position. I think that kind of happened in one of my drafts, and I passed on him still. And this is the reason, because I've had Kittle over the years. I've had him play for 12 games like an absolute stud and then get injured for the last 4 games of the year. This season, he gets injured the first game. This is a guy who just gets injured all the time, and you can't waste a 4th-round pick on him. And I know you already drafted, and you're probably like, Daps, shut the fuck up, you asshole.
Shut the fuck up, you asshole.
I just this is why I feel this way. This is why I didn't draft him. Ricky Pearsall, on the other hand, I think he looked pretty solid. 4 receptions, 108 yards, no tutty. This speaks volumes to his floor. I think his floor is going to probably be around 10 to 12 points every week because they don't have Ayuk. Now Kittle's gone. The question is Mac Jones throwing to him? Because if Mac Jones is throwing to him, his floor is 2 or 1 or none. Because Mac Jones stinks. Trust me on that one. He's not doing anything for you. He's not putting up any fantasy points. He's going to get sacked. He's going to fumble. He's going to throw picks. They're going to do game management, which means Christian will get injured. So that's how that's going to go down.
If Mac Jones got shot like Ricky Pearsall, he wouldn't have been okay. Ricky Pearsall shook off a bullet, okay?
Shook off a bullet, bro. A bullet. Moving right along to JSN, who I was very scared to take in multiple drafts.
Me too.
As my wide receiver 1. I was like, I can't rely on this guy to be my wide receiver 1. I was wrong. He looked amazing. He looks like he's going to be amazing. He looks like he could potentially be the wide receiver 1 if Sam Darnold wasn't his quarterback. 9 receptions, 124 yards, no touchdowns, puts up 16-9. I'm a JSN believer. I think he's going to be awesome. I'm
a Kool-Aid drinker. I will go beyond the veil for JSN. I think that he is. I'm just going to say it now. I think he's going to be the wide receiver 1 on the season. It is absolutely bananas. I think Sam Darnold had close to 200 yards passing. JSN had 75 to 80% of those yards. I think Sam Darnold had 150. JSN had 124 of those yards. He looks so good, so fast. His routes are so clean. I do wish he had a better quarterback, but Justin Jefferson did incredible things with Sam Darnold last year. Maybe we need to just stop the slander on Sam Darnold.
I'm not ready to stop the slander. I would have been if he won this game, right? But by the way, I don't know if you saw the way they lost the game. They kind of lost it because of not the best performance by Sam Darnold, which is what I saw as a Jet fan, my entire career with Sam Darnold. We're not benching anyone really after week 1, but can you see yourself putting any one of these on the bench? Let me deliver that one more time. Can I deliver that one more time?
No, you cannot. But I'm going to throw out some names.
Guys.
You just tell me if you're going to bench any one of these players, or can you see yourself benching them in the future? Bo Nix.
I see. I could see Bo Nix being benched in the future. I think he's got another 4-week leash.
Cooper Kupp, you're benching now?
Cooper Kupp was not on any draft board of mine. Didn't draft him in any league. How many points did he have?
2.
He had 2 points. He's got Sam Darnold throwing to him. I'm not starting Cooper Kupp until he drops 20 points.
Great. C.J. Stroud.
C.J. Stroud, too early. Rams are good, man. But too early to overreact. C.J. Stroud is going to have some fourth-quarter comebacks this year. He's going to have some huge games to Nico Collins. Wait for C.J. Stroud to erupt.
A.J. Brown.
A.J. Brown you have to start every week until – the only way you can not start A.J. Brown – even if A.J. Brown scored less than 5 points for the next 4 weeks in a row, you'd still have to start him because you know what would happen? The second you don't start him, he's going to drop 30. A.J.
Brown could have a 2024 Deebo Samuel season where you're in the 8th or 9th week of the season and you're going, I might not start this guy.
Well, the Niners were bad last year, and I don't think the Eagles are going to be bad like the Niners were. So I think the Eagles are going to win games. I think they're going to be in a groove. I think Jalen Hurts is going to target A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith a little bit more.
Last one. When are you putting Kenbone Walker on your bench?
He gets 5-6 week leash. I mean, Kenneth Walker is an absolute monster. I know he scored 3 points this week, but listen, this happens. There's new coaches. There's new systems in place. They don't know what they're doing. By the way, the Niners have a good defense. All right, let's not kid ourselves. The Niners were bad last year because of injury. Looks like they might be bad this year because of injury, but they won the game. And remember, they have Fred Warner and Nick Bosa on defense. So I'm not happy to play the Niners as an offensive line or as a quarterback on any given week. So the Niners are going to be in it. Brock Purdy has to be healthy, though, or they're screwed.
All right. Not a ton of crazy stuff on the waivers this week. Dylan Sampson, I know that you think that he cemented himself on the Browns. He looked absolutely incredible, especially in the pass-catching game. Quentin Johnston is coming back, and I think that's going to significantly hamper Dylan Sampson. Quentin was the number 1 draft pick. I'm optimistic about Dylan, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you saw what happened last year. Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb, all these other holdouts. Maybe Jamar Chase is not the best instance, but a lot of these guys who hold out, takes them a couple weeks to get back into rhythm, especially a kid who's never been in the system before. You have Jerome Ford there. You have Sampson. There's a lot of running backs in that room. I'm definitely picking up Sampson if he's available, dropping 12 points on the Browns week 1 when Jerome Ford's on the team. Judkins, I'm not a believer, but I think he's got a lot of work to do, and I'm not optimistic. If you have Judkins on your roster, I would not be starting him for a couple weeks. Kayshon Boutte.
Very exciting.
Very exciting. A lot of target percentage share. I think he got targeted 8 times, something like that, by Drake May. He got targeted more than Stephon Diggs.
Stephon Diggs is all up in Cardi B. He is not on the field right now, and it looks like Kayshon Boutte has got that booty. I mean,
He's got that Pirates boot.
Dude, I mean, just the fantasy team names alone. I mean, that's an important thing to consider when you're picking people up. What could my team's name be with this guy on my roster? It's an important consideration to make.
Your team name definitely gets cooler if you have Butte. Definitely a waiver wire you got to look at. And again, anybody who's watching, two extremely important statistics for me when you're filtering in your league, right? Especially I'm all over Yahoo. All my leagues are on Yahoo. I'm going to filter from the wide receiver position to targets, right? You can see how many times a quarterback has targeted your player. You can do this with all players available, or you could even mix in all players combined with every player that's already rostered. Now you get an idea of who's being targeted the most in the league. If there's anybody on the top 25 page that is available, right, in week 2, 3, 4, you better be looking at that guy, all right? So, again, Butte is one of those guys last week who's getting a majority of the share from his quarterback. And now we're going to move on to Jaxon Johnson, who also was targeted an extreme amount. He dropped, I think, close to 15 points on the Saints. Spencer Rattler, quarterback. I don't know if this is something you can rely on consistently. But again, this is back to targets. It's not really about is Jaxon Johnson going to score a touchdown every week. Is Spencer Rattler going to throw to him 10 times a week? Because if he throws to him 10 times a week, that's somebody who has to be on your radar. If you're a wide receiver or a tight end who's being targeted 8, we'll even call it 7 times or more a week, that's a big number. If you're targeted 10 times and you catch 70% of those, you're getting 7 catches. That's 3.5 points just on catches in a half PPR league, plus whatever the yards are. So even if you only go for 60 yards on those catches, we're talking about 9 points, right? So again, 9 points isn't sexy, but you know how you win every single week is when the guys who don't hit for you score 9 points.
The
right?
tight end position is an extremely volatile position. If you can have a safe floor there, it's a massive, massive upside. It's kind of like having I wouldn't equate it to having a number 1 quarterback, but it just gives you a sense of calm. The other thing about tight ends with bad quarterbacks, tight ends don't run very far. So young, bad quarterbacks can hit tight ends 10 yards away from them. So,
listen, last guy we're going to talk about, Fannin Jr. on the Browns. Remember, the Browns have Njoku, and Flacco targeted Fannin as many times as he targeted Njoku. So, again, this is a guy to track. We're going to see, check out your leagues. Listen, I'm not using any of my waiver money or a bid if I have a priority on any of these tight ends, right?
No.
I have the luxury of being on the West Coast in an East Coast league. So I go at midnight and check all the guys who are available, and these guys aren't awake yet.
Suckers. Absolute fucking suckers.
Guys, get some buddies on the East Coast. If you're on the West Coast, join their league because you're just ahead of the curve. So again,
I will say I'll amend that. We'll spend some fab on these guys, but there's no one on week 1 that you would be going to blow 40 or 50% of your fab on. Also, if you're in a league that doesn't play fab, talk to your commissioner because priority is just an insane way to play this game.
Talk to your wife, talk to your child, talk to your father, talk to somebody who might be able to help you because, again, I don't know. On any of these tight ends, maybe I'm throwing $7-8 on them.
Yeah,
I don't know if I'm going into double digits. Now, listen, if they were available next week and they put up an average of 10 points 2 weeks in a row, right, with a certain amount of targets, okay. Maybe I'll spend a couple bucks on them. But you gotta keep that budget. There is going to be a monster injury week 2, week 3, week 4. It could be week 8, right? Monster injury, and then there's that one guy who's available, who is the clear-cut guy who's going to slot into that running back or wide receiver position, and you gotta have budget. You gotta have budget.
And if you're perfect example, if you're a Kittle owner, I'm not mad at people spending $15, $15 on Jaxon Johnson. It just depends on what position you're in. But get in the comments and ask us your questions. We'll touch on all of them or as many as we can in the episodes ahead of us.
Yeah, and listen, remember, take a look at who these guys are playing next week. Like, for example, Fannin Jr. is playing the Ravens. So you might go, oh, the Ravens have an elite defense. I don't want to play the Ravens. Or you might look at it from the perspective of the Browns are going to go down 30 points by halftime, and they're going to have to throw the ball the whole second half. And maybe Fannin Jr. gets targeted another 7 or 8 times because they're playing the backups of the Ravens. So, again, look at next week before you make your waiver claims. Obviously, you want to be playing the New Orleans Saints, right? You want to be playing the Carolina Panthers. You want to be playing the
Miami
Dolphins, right? If you have a matchup of a tight end or a waiver wire pickup against one of those teams, pick up that guy. Just make your life easy. Don't overthink it. Play against the bad QBs first. Listen, when I'm sports gambling, if I see if you can rest assured, all right, that if Mac Jones is starting for the Niners this week, I might bet on the Saints. I'll take the points.
You have an irrational hatred of Mac Jones. It's almost rational, but yeah, I would say that the last team is the Arizona Cardinals. I hate them. I hate Kyler Murray.
Well, you hate elves.
No, I don't hate elves.
You hate short elves.
I don't hate elves. I don't hate elves.
I saw you screaming outside that door. I will kill a midget elf in my lifetime.
No, and I don't use that word. We refer to them as smushed people.
Smushed people.
Yeah.
Right.
No,
okay.
But
I'm remembering what you said.
But listen, we've been going on way too long. Thank you for listening. If you've listened to all of this, what are you doing?
Yeah. What are you doing?
What are you doing? Yeah. No, but get in the comments. Ask us if you have a question about who you should sit, who you should start, who you should draft, or who you should trade for. Drop them in the comments below. We'll get to them next week.
It has been an honor serving you. Is that what we say?
Yeah, that's what we agreed to sign off with every week.
It's been an honor serving you here at the General Managers. I am lead general manager, assistant general manager.
I'm lead.
Dylan.
We're co-lead
all right,
general
co-lead
managers.
general manager.
Okay.
All right. I hope you had a great time. I'm Daps. That's Dylan. You are watching General Managers. We will see you. What day will we see them?
We'll see you every Tuesday.
We will see you every Tuesday. We love you. We need you. Make sure you also join us on TikTok on the daily. Daps Live. We talk fantasy football, gambling, and just a recap of sports every day, 12 p.m. Pacific time. And listen, if you need to hop in there and ask us for real-time fantasy advice, that's where to do it. We were answering questions all day today. Again, I hope you enjoyed the first episode of General Managers. We'll see you next week.